Hey, everybody, Jason Bermas here. And if you tuned in to yesterday's Derpin with Kirk, the world famous pioneer, astronaut, and honorable magistrate, you know that I brought up a Epstein document that I failed to show you in real time. And I hate when that happens. I really do. I was talking to him about this Epstein email in which they were discussing this secret society of 12 different individuals in which no minorities and no women were allowed. And I'm just trying to make the point that no one seems to be talking about the extremely racist stuff in here, the outwardly racist stuff. Like, if you want to talk about the real controllers of the world, yeah, a lot of them are super bigots. Okay. But that then gets projected onto the general populace in order to exploit identity politics and divide people. But in reality, yeah, no, a lot of these are really rich, old white men that come from generational wealth and generational bloodlines. And every once in a while, they'll take somebody else in as long as they're willing to play ball and they're useful to them. And that's what this secret society is. Now, it's kind of funny because during our almost 2 hour conversation, Metzger talked about how the ruling class is into astrology. And he said, but it's not that stupid astrology stuff that your girlfriend's into, et cetera, et cetera. Well, it just so happens, and I just forgotten this part because there's just so much there. This secret society is called the Zodiac Club. And there are 12 members representing the 12 signs of the Zodiac, right? So Kurt Metzger, without knowing it, the literal Epstein document that I wanted to show him proved his point. It's exactly what this is. Now, we're going to get into the Zodiac Club, and I scoured the internet to see if there was any kind of mention of this before the Epstein files. Is there anything at all out there? And there were a couple things here and there, but they look really recent for as old as this club is. This club started in the mid 1800s. Let me repeat that. In the mid 1800s. And I'm just going to, if you look at the thumbnail, I'm just going to show you one power player because these are the power players in finance, in geopolitics, in media, in this club. And essentially it was this astrology site. We're going to read the whole thing, read the whole article for everybody to check it out. And it goes through some of the much older members, but at the same time, like the known members, I think the last date they give you, and they don't give you like every year, they give a few. And since you have to, it's a club you're in for life, apparently. It wouldn't change every year, but the last one's like 1915. Maybe it's, we'll look at it again, but it's literally almost 100 years ago. So finding out some of the modern members is a big deal because when you hear those names, if you are into geopolitics and have been, you're going to know some of those names. Kind of a big deal. And again, that's what's showing you in these Epstein files how the world really works. There really are roundtable groups. There really are secret societies. They really do hate the general population. They really are racist and bigots and into weird occult stuff. It's real. As I've been stating for years, and this is a vindication of that. After we go over this article and I show you a little bit about the Zodiac Club, I want to show you this mainstream media, MS Now. I can't say MSNBC anymore. MS Now piece, where because of how poorly this has been handled by the Trump administration, it's just getting whitewashed via talking points, via the sensational sex aspects of this, when there is so much more. There's, again, no one's talking about the meme email with the N-bomb. There's more N-bombs in there talking about hunting, snipe hunting. And for some reason, these emails with little or no context that are extremely racist, they're protecting the sender and they're protecting the recipients. A little odd, don't you think? So let's get into it. We're going to get into the Zodiac Club, when it was formed, all of it. Thumbs it up, subscribe, and share. And if you like what I do, I can't do it without you. $5, $10, $15, big donors. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Want to thanks SMP 1382, Brooks, and these random donors. Once again, cannot do without you. You guys rock. So let's read it. So the 2010 email. Now, after this, two of the members eventually do die. So they're no longer with us. I would imagine they've been replaced. But they don't, again, we don't see who this is from, to Epstein. And I don't know why this person's being protected. But again, just got a note from Bob Prairie, who asked me if I thought Murray Gell-Mann would make a good candidate for the Zodiac. Now think about this. He's discussing this with Epstein because he's in these financial, geopolitical, media circles. And he's getting his opinion. Should he be able to come into the Zodiac Club? As you know, so Epstein knows about these secret society clubs. Remember, he was talking about the Trilateral Commission and the Illuminati with Steve Bannon. As you know, it's one of the last secret type societies. The Zodiac is one of the really cool ones. There are 12 members at any one time, and it is still very secret. They do really cool stuff. In fact, so secret in 2010, had you shown this to me, this might be the only proof of it. They do really cool stuff, but mostly, since they are very old, it's just dinners in exotic locations. I can't tell you, so he doesn't even know, this guy, all the 12 members, because I don't know who they are. But I do know Paul Volcker is one. We'll show you Paul Volcker. Paul Volcker, ex-chairman of the Federal Reserve, among many other. Again, you don't become the chair of the Fed unless, again, you're in these financial circles. So Volcker is one of them at this point. Some guy named Howdy, whose family owns Stuyvesant Town. Now, I looked into this. There's like a thread on Reddit. If you look up who owns Stuyvesant Town, it was either Blackstone or like Black Rock. It was one of those. So there wasn't like an individual family. This was in 2010. Apparently, it changed hands in like 2006. But I don't know what that means. But we get 3 of the 12 members. We get Bob Prairie. We get Paul Volcker. And here we go. Bob Prairie and I think Tom Brokaw, the media man. Oh, you mean what? I mean, I get it. Walter Cronkite, he was America's most trusted man. But Tom Brokaw, Peter Jennings, my generation, those were the names in media. And he's in the Zodiac Club, this elite New York City secret society. Just totally and completely wild. And just like Kurt was saying, these people, they represent symbolism, astrological symbolism. They actually believe this stuff. Bob represents Cancer, the sign, not the month. You are a member until your death, but if you get senile, okay? If you get senile, they can put you on eccentric orbit and not invite you to the meetings, etc. Anyway, the only way to get in is if someone dies. There are obviously no minorities or women allowed. It's obvious. You know how this works, Jeffrey. Yeah, this is no minorities, no women. Anyway, let me know what you think. Finally leaving West Africa tonight. Finally. Let me know when you get your postcard. You will hopefully laugh a lot, miss you. So again, I don't know who this is from, but they're extremely friendly. He's getting a joke postcard back when people sent physical things, and they're talking about this elite secret society. Okay. And by the way, we'll go to your super chats as well if you get them in there. We'll go to yours momentarily. Now, I want to talk about this. Frank K. Sturgis is one of the early members of this. Okay. This is what I need people to understand. These circles within circles, these privatized groups, they're the ones that have meetings and hold influence over society. This guy served as the president of the New York Stock Exchange. You talk about power structures that hold not only our nation state together, the good old US of A, but Wall Street and the New York Stock Exchange, that's like a global mafioso. And this guy's a part of it. Frank K. Sturgis. I know a lot of people know the Frank Sturgis from the Watergate story, and yes, we're getting a lot more information about that. That's not for today. Volcker, okay, died in 2019. So look, they got some new members. They got some new blood. I mean, I wanted to show that. I brought this one up because it was one of the pictures where back in the day when you were having like a hearing in the Senate or the Congress, you could just smoke. And Volker's just like, just smoking cigars. That's how hardcore these people are. Appointed chair of the Federal Reserve in 1979, Mr. Volcker dramatically raised interest rates to combat inflation. And I'm almost sure, and I'll look it up right now, we will do it live, that Volcker was, whatchamacallit, was Bilderberg as well. Bilderberg Group. Maybe not steering member, but when? Yes. Sorry. Yes. Trilateral Commission and Bilderberg. Trilateral Commission and Bilderberg. So I'm not sure. Maybe he was a steering member, and that's why that was coming up. There he is as the Fed chair. 2010 Bilderberg Conference, while being chairman of the U.S. Economic Recovery Advisory Board, part of the Group of 30. I mean, again, Paul Volcker is big time. And then Robert Prairie, who's also passed after this, passed before Volcker. Kissinger did a write-up on him. Okay? You want to understand how important these people are. They're right there at the apex. Right there at the apex. Praise be dogs named Sumo. Fit they are good boys, and Jason dogs are good boys too. Dog too. Thank you, Drew. We do appreciate that. Yes, Smokey is a good boy. I know that some of you may have watched the Walk and Talk today. So just baseline. These are huge revelations. This is how the world works. And this is the information I now have on the Zodiac Club. Again, published March of this year. Never seen anything on it before this. The Zodiac Club is a 157-year-old secret society. Let's bring it even closer so people can really read it with me. 157-year-old secret society in New York City made up of 12 members who meet every final Saturday of the month, only between the months of November and May. Now let's unpack. So they got a 6-month cycle, and they're meeting once a month in that 6-month cycle. Somewhere in J.P. Morgan's Madison Avenue library lie 2 books titled Records of the Zodiac, where inside minutes, menus, and a 157-year-old secret are bound in leather. My recent trip to the museum inspired an obsession. I know, very Scorpio of me. And I've yet to shake it. See, it's an astrology website, and the group is based on astrology. Upon researching, I found an article by a writer of The Gothamist in 2013 who was able to schedule a rare glimpse into the hidden volumes with William Vocal, the museum curator, to try and discover what goes on inside. The curator had the books pulled from the stacks and explained how Morgan was known in the society as Brother Libra. Oh, the good old J.P. Morgan. Yay. I mean, there's a good guy. I mean, if J.P. Morgan's a part of the society, thumbs up. This explains why the museum mentions that Libra is strategically placed opposite Aries, Morgan's sun, not because they are sister signs, but because Libra is the zodiac sign Morgan assumed as a member of the New York City Zodiac Club. Still, I wanted to know more about this mysterious club and why it would make someone who had a personal astrologer and was known for having strong interest in astrology paint their ceiling in honor of the title, Libra. So I kept digging. According to the Gothamist writer, inside the books of the Zodiac Club, it seemed to be an exclusive and secret dining society in New York City, founded in 1868. 1860, the mid 1800s. This has been around. Let's take that super chat quick. Is it possible that the temple on the island was an initiation room for this secret society? It has a fresco of the Zodiac on the ceiling, and no way that it wasn't used for some kind of ritual. You know, I just don't know. The pictures that we got inside that, it looked like it was under construction on the inside. It looked pretty quaint on the inside. Now that, we have no clue, because Jeffrey Epstein looked like he knew that the FBI was on the case, or why would you order all that sulfuric acid to the island the day after the case is opened? And I know that, again, people think that certain things were going on there. I'm just saying you get rid of anything you want, Mary Picard. So thank you so much for that super chat. Hopefully that's a good answer for you. We'll see. The rules seemed as simple as if they were written. Show up, eat a fancy dinner, and discuss society secrets in private. The club consists of 12 elite members, each assigned a zodiac sign upon initiation, who take turns hosting and catering for the other affluent members every month. However, if there's nothing beyond that, why try so hard to keep the members' identities and the details of their gatherings so secretive? Is it just to contribute to the club's aura of mystery and exclusivity? Of course not. They're making real decisions. Yeah, Paul Volcker, he may like the people in the club, but he likes the people in the club because they can do stuff for his agenda. And they like him because he can do stuff for their agenda. There's very little public information about the club, despite its long-standing existence. No kidding. This is older than the Bohemian Grove Club, guys. And again, I'm brand new. I was showing you. I was looking through Codex Magica just yesterday. You know, another one by him that's with the Secret Society's Tex Mars. Mysterious Monuments. It's another one. Okay. Despite its long-standing existence, as the members are instructed to take its secrecy seriously. So until I found further information, here's what we do know. There are no public records of the club's membership lists, meeting minutes, details, or discussions, and the organization does not speak publicly. That says publicity, or it's a combination of terrible. You might want to change that. This level of secrecy, combined with its association with some of the most powerful individuals in history, has since fueled speculation about the club's influence and purpose. Besides this one article made over 10 years ago and a few others trying to hunt down copies of the club's books given only to family of the members, they've seemed to do a very good job of confidentiality. According to their documents, these dinners seem to be an extravagant boys' club. However, there seems to be a few public books that I'll be searching for this weekend that mention the society. So here's one. A book by Stephen Birmingham, published in 1987, America's Secret Aristocracy, claims that J.P. Morgan founded the Zodiac Club in the 1900s. However, Edward Elmer Potter, a native New Yorker born June 21st, 1823, was the true founding father of the Zodiac Club in 1868. Okay. All right. Hold on one second. Got another super Chattington. Bring up Lady Judge and Epstein. How connected the nuclear industry is to all this. Let me just say this. We're going to be doing a lot of episodes. Like, this is basically taking over my channel because there are so many avenues you can go in through the Epstein files. I was looking up transhumanism today, NASA, Martine Rothblatt, the Ben Goertzel emails and connections, and I've got a lot coming up. But I don't know anything about this Lady Judge and Epstein. If you've got something, my DMs are open on X, and you send me a raw file, short little synopsis. I'll usually go check it out. And then, as you can see what I do, after I check out the files, I go and check out the people and the places and the things, and I try to bring more stuff to my audience. Let's see, what do we got here for this one? Why is that doing that? That's weird. Hold on, we got another one in there, and I don't know why it won't let me click down. There it is. It looked more like a demo than construction to me. Oh, the temple. Yeah, could have been. Could have been. I don't know what to say. It looked very odd in there, is all I'm saying. It looked like it was definitely having work done. Okay? Potter was a Columbia College graduate known for his very successful Union campaign in North Carolina during the Civil War, known as Potter's Raid. Even though it seems the club loved to share stories and reaffirm their social standings in a gilded society, I sadly found no mention evidence as to why Potter started the Zodiac Club. Again, there's not much out there. Not much out there. I'm telling you right now. Another book, The Age of Innocence, written by Edith Wharton, actually once enraged the members of the Zodiac Club in 1921. It's a little bit before I was born. Maybe you guys, a little bit before you guys were born too. Anybody watching the show that's 105 years old? Bueller? No? Okay. They accused her of betraying their social class by disclosing knowledge of their society. In the second volume, Frank K. Sturgis, who we showed you in the picture, former president of the New York Stock Exchange, known as Brother Cancer, was particularly vocal in his disdain for Wharton's portrayal of New York's elite in the 1870s. He argued that society during that era was refined, intelligent, and self-respecting, and he criticized Wharton for diminishing the reputation of a world in which her own family had played a prominent role. His remarks were recorded in the minutes, reflecting the indignation felt by the members. The story continues that after voicing his criticism of the Age of Innocence, Brother Cancer began to share detailed recollections of the financial and social histories of various New York families. He discussed both the esteemed alliances and the scandalous mesalliances that had shaped the city's upper class. Plenty of scandals, I assure you, all the way back then as well. Okay? Oh, we got some more super chats. Keep them coming in. We'll keep reading them as we go through. Jace Maxing, I'm here for it. Thank you, Drew. And found on my own, Epstein has an original Louis the Seventh. Or is that Louis the 14th? Yes, Louis the 14th and Maria's tapestry on a wall. Louis's reign was tied to witchcraft and child sacrifice. Fun facts. Yay, Jeremy. Yay. Just fantastic. Yay. Just good times all around when we do this stuff, huh? Let's see. But it was there, in a moment of passion and joy, that the men realized, although the sharing and documentation of their stories would surely provide a fascinating resource for future generations, to keep with the Zodiac Club's secret nature, they decided then that much of what they discussed outside of what should never be written should also remain unwritten. Their discussions regarding the unwritten, only spoken history of their elite families of New York City, their political opinions, and more remain lost to us because of their restraint. In the final edition of both volumes, they scrubbed and scratched any piece of information deemed too candid. See how these work? And again, this is the expansive nature of these files, showing you the connections of the global power players. It's right here. As the years went by, the signs willfully ignored the prohibition and utilized the sellers of J.P. Morgan, Jr., who took over his father's sign of Libra. However, after World War I and the recessions that led to the Great Depression, their once lavish menus shrunk considerably. They made constant jokes to each other and chose to document the ones they thought were worth remembering, like how having less food made their waistlines trimmer. Membership has always been limited to a select group of social elite, prominent businessmen, financiers, and other influential figures in various industries, making it one of the most private clubs in the city. In 1903, Morgan was elected to the sign of Libra and catered his first meal at Louis Sherry's private apartments at 5th Avenue and 44th Street. Excited, he decided to celebrate by commissioning original artwork for the menu. They love their artwork, don't they? In fact, we got another super chat. We'll go to that really quickly, and then we're going to go back to this article. Remember, we're also going to go over this mainstream media kind of whitewash piece and why that is important as well. When do we get an R cheese pizza, if you know what I mean? Jerky, anyone? Again, we talked about that quite a bit yesterday. So you want to watch the Kerp? You want to find out that the cannibal restaurant is real? And that's Francis Derby that seems to be the chef? We show you the receipts. In fact, you know what? Maybe I should bring that up right now. We'll do it live. We'll type in the cannibal restaurant. I'm spelling things wrong. NYC. And then it's closed, obviously. But there was one, yes. I think that this is it, the food blogger. There it is right there. I discovered the cannibal a few years ago. This is in 2016. Okay? So, hey, it's there. Back to the Zodiac Club. All right? Sherry was one of the top restaurants catering to the Gilded Age elite at his Stamford White-designed restaurants and quickly became known for producing ostentatious meals like a $250 dinner on horseback for CKG Billings, whose mansion occupied the land where the cloisters are now. Can you imagine 100 years ago charging $250 for a meal? I've always loved how astrology is intertwined with our society's history, and I love seeing it in person. Bet you do, guy. I plan on continuing this search to unveil the secrets of our past and discover how the study of astrology has played a role in getting us to where we are now. While it remains an enigma, okay, and then we're going to get to some of the original members. The Zodiac Club stands as one of New York's oldest and most mysterious elite secret societies, continuing its legacy in quite exclusivity. I say continuing because Robert Peary, a recent Zodiac Club member, lawyer, book collector, and president of Rothschild Inc. President of Rothschild Inc. stated the Zodiac Club was never secret, only private, and will remain intact, secretly meeting for dinners every last Saturday for as long as it is relevant. And so they show you right here, 1868, right? And this shows you, first and foremost, again, you have to die to be replaced. So when they show you the 1907 group and then the 1915 group, there are quite a few. Charles Lanier, who was the other one? There's John G. Milburn. There's a lot of the same people here. J.P. Morgan still in there, okay? Because you're there forever. Appleton is in there, et cetera, et cetera. So there you go. There is the Zodiac Club we know very little about. Just very powerful people in what seems to be the financial industries, but also with Brokaw, the media industries. And when we say the financial industries, we're talking geopolitics because we're talking the Federal Reserve, which is a private organization. But that's okay because Bob Prairie represents the Rothschilds. All right. Let's do it. I want to play some of this mainstream media whitewashing of the Bondi hearing and how they're continually trying to make it about Trump and all this Johnny nonsense. And I'm really seeing people dive deeper and trying to dive deeper into these 2019 and 2020 files that genuinely have a lot of fallacies in them. Instead of getting hardcore and looking at the historical emails like the one I just showed you, showing you how the world works and the Epstein network operated in different regards.
Would the survivors and victims who are here please stand up one more time? Just by show of hands, how many of you or your loved ones actually have met with the Department of Justice and provided testimony and estimate and evidence? None. And of those of you who have not met, which is everyone, how many of you have reached out either individually or through a lawyer or representative to offer to provide testimony and evidence? All of them. And of those of you, all of you who have reached out, how many of you were denied or ignored by the Department of Justice? All of them. And despite the shameful and despicable efforts by Ms. Bondi and her department to intimidate you, how many of you are still willing to speak to the Department of Justice? All of them. Well, Ms. Bondi, it looks like you have some more witnesses to talk to.
Time has expired.
So let me just start. That part of the grandstanding, they're not wrong. They've handled this horribly. But first of all, I didn't think we were actually getting the files. And the only reason we got the files, and we're still getting files, because there's plenty more files, and I don't know that we'll ever get all the files, is because of Massey. Because Massey and MGT, to their credit, and I'm going to say big ups to Ro Khanna too. I don't know what is in his heart, but with those two, real deal. Real deal. And this is one of those voting issues. Both sides, there's no winning when you're trying to cover up for Epstein. Now, we don't have accountability for the Zodiac club class, the secret society class. We never have in this country. And if we did, it wasn't when I was alive. We had strands of accountability that went away more and more after World War II for the power structure, period. And yeah, Bondi is being put on the spot here. And we knew there was not going to be any real DOJ prosecutions because that's the way the world works. It's not just Bondi. All these people grants, what about the Biden administration? That was literally a sleep administration where the guy had dementia and the underling was a drunken cackle monster. Literally ran nothing. Couldn't even speak. And that's where the identity politics stuff will get you. And remember, it's actual bigots, actual racists, of which Biden, again, look at some of the past things he said, was actually one of those guys. It was that club that decided to put those inept people in power. They knew they weren't going to prosecute Epstein. Then you can go back to the first Trump administration. Weren't even talking about releasing the files. Now, I'll say this, under that administration, at least you had movement in the SDNY case, but was that Trump's DOJ? Absolutely not. And it looks like when they got involved, all hell broke loose. And we got whatever happened at MCC. And now people still telling me they think Epstein's alive. All that stuff. And then take it back another administration. Right? The Barack Obama administration, we've already had a conviction. We've already had a conviction. The Bush administration, there's the one place where you could argue, since the first conviction court case didn't really happen until that 2008 arena, that you could exonerate it a little bit. But then you go all the way back to 96 when Maria Farmer, filed with the FBI. And if you're going back to 96, you're in Clinton country. So yeah, is this unfair to Bondi? Sure. Is this the real deal and how it works? That they don't really care about the victims? Because, the DOJ can't do anything to this class? That's the reality. So, again, watch how it gets exploited on MSNBC. So it's all about Trump and the administration.
Chrissy, why wouldn't they just sit and talk to them?
So any normal person in that situation, any normal prosecutor would have turned around and looked at them, first of all, shown them that basic decency and respect, and said, make sure to leave all your information, your lawyer's information, contact information with me before you leave. I will make sure someone from the Department of Justice reaches out to you this week, right? How hard is that? Again, that's not a partisan issue. If you are a victim, if you are a crime victim who wants to speak to a prosecutor, wants to speak to an FBI agent, you should have the ability to do that.
But here's the deal. See, again, there's the grants ending. No, I don't understand how it works. You know damn well how it works. You're sitting there. You're hosting this show. You know why. Because no one looks good, and these are high-level criminal activities. And stop this with any normal person. If you're the attorney general, chances are you're not a normal person. You're highly restricted. And it's not, again, any administration would have done the same damn thing. But because you had the Kash Patel, Dan Bongino podcast tour where they're all telling you about the deep state and evil Epstein, and even Trump getting cornered on Fox News, where he was clearly uncomfortable and didn't want to say he was going to release the Epstein files. Notice he said he was going to release the 9/11 files, and no one's talking about that. Kind of breaks my heart, actually, because those are as important, if not more important, but I bet you there's some overlap there. A 9/11 shadow commission that's in these documents asking Ghislaine Maxwell to be on a 9/11 shadow commission. I came over to your live stream from Dyer's. Are you and Dyer going to do a live stream together soon? Been listening since you were on InfoWars. Well, thank you, man. I'd love to do a broadcast with Dyer on the Epstein files, but a million other things. I love doing stuff with Dyer. Two of my favorite broadcasts. In fact, I was talking with Adam Riva of Dauntless Dialogue about the broadcast that Dyer and I did on the animated movie Heavy Metal, which is awesome. And we also did another broadcast on a film called The Holy Mountain that has a ton of symbolism in it. I can't recommend those enough. Okay, so let's go back to the MS Now, whitewash. I just don't understand.
This isn't just any case. This is a case that Pam Bondi has signed filings saying that there is extensive public interest in, with the most infamous pedophile in American history. So right after that clip, she was going around like showing a picture of an illegal alien that had committed a crime. Why aren't we talking about this? What issue do you have? Why do you keep trying to deflect from talking about the Epstein files and this crime that you have told the court you consider important? So it makes no sense. Not only does it not make sense, I would argue it's a violation of the Crime Victims' Rights Act, which says that crime victims have a right to confer with the government. It also says they have a right to fairness, dignity, and respect. And what she just did there, I mean, how smug she was, keeping her back to them, not acknowledging that complaint, which is a very valid complaint, and just saying, well, just call a hotline. No, deal with it. But she doesn't want to step up. And I suspect the reason she doesn't is coming back to something Marjorie Taylor Greene said when she talked to Donald Trump and said, why don't you just give the victims an audience in the Oval Office? Why don't you meet with them? And he said, they don't deserve an audience. And so
now, I don't know if Marjorie Taylor Greene has said that. And I'm not saying Trump hasn't said that. Listen, Trump and him were buddy-buddy. He still can't disavow Ghislaine Maxwell. He wished her well twice. And I really, really hope these reports and rumblings of the idea that Ghislaine Maxwell is going to give testimony and somehow get clemency, that's bad news brown. That's bad news brown. By the way, we're just around under 2 weeks now. Under 2 weeks away from Hillary and Bill Clinton supposedly giving depositions on the Epstein files.
So she's taking her cues from him. It's very clear from, you see the binder of zingers she's a puppet. She doesn't have any independent train of thought here. She had, for each member of Congress, she had what she was going to say to kind of come back to whatever that they were saying, and it's all scripted. She doesn't have independent thought. This is not her Department of Justice. She is not running things here. She's clearly a puppet. Donald Trump doesn't want to meet with these victims. He has made it clear from the top he has no respect for them and isn't interested, and therefore she's taking her cues from him, and it's a disgrace.
Tara, I guess I'm mad at myself that I can still be shocked and horrified. But
So I just want to make it real clear. We're 3.5 minutes deep in this media piece, and instead of talking about what's really in the Epstein files, the crimes, the networks, the way the world works, secret societies, real bigotry, the abuse of young girls, insider trading, banking, things like Mandelson and the $500 billion bailout, Trump, with a side of Trump. Did I mention Trump? Trump. And look, they only have themselves to blame. They only, because they can't deliver on actually going after the quote unquote deep state.
by Donald Trump and the people that work for him. But I'm shocked and horrified that they have made enemies out of the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell.
I don't know how you can do that. I mean, these women are victims when they were children of one of the most vile crimes. And, you know, I would agree with Christy. They said case closed without conferring with the victims. And, that does violate their Crime Victims' Rights Act. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure that you have to talk to the victims of the crime before you decide the verdict, the case closed, we're ending this. And, you know, all along, the Justice Department hasn't cared about them at all. Pam Bondi seemed completely heartless. She seemed completely soulless, frankly, out there. She seemed like she was working for Trump. She was Trump's defense attorney, and she had no interest in these women, 1,000 victims, by the way, all with the same stories. And yeah, she didn't seem to care at all. And I don't see how that's going to help the Republicans going into the midterms. This is not the face they want. And it was a train wreck. It was a disaster. I don't know how else to describe it, but today was an embarrassment for them. I mean,
These are the people they put on TV. These are the people, not only they put them on TV, they pay them to be on TV. Like, I'm lucky if 2 to 5 times a year, a mainstream media outlet, like OAN is having me on more and more because of David Pollock. God love you, David. Thank you so much. But CNN, Fox, and MSNBC, you're almost never going to see me on there. I've been there on each one, like maybe a handful of times, and they always try to make me out to be a kook. They don't want to give me an extended period of time to talk about serious subjects like that, like this one, because they want to make it about Trump. Trump, Epstein, Trump, midterms, Trump, Epstein. It gets old, but this is the playbook.
the entire party.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know that Lutnick could look any worse than he already does, Tim Miller, but he sort of did. Like, if you've got someone, she's the one that was going on and on in defending Tulsi Gabbard being at the Georgia election office raid by saying, quote, "We're inseparable," end quote, like we're besties. But she hasn't talked to Lutnick. I mean, her explanation was that, you know, basically like out of The Hangover, you know, 3 best friends, but she doesn't want to claim Lutnick, who happened to go to the island, and she's never talked to Lutnick after he just said yesterday before Congress that he and his wife and his kids and his nannies all went to the island, and he and his wife and his kids and all the nannies left the island. She just wasn't interested in talking to him about what he might have seen. I mean, the whole sort of farce that she had.
By the way, this is the first time that they're actually talking about something of substance, and that would be the Lutnick thing. And that's, again, all this is really like fair criticism, but it's not the meat and potatoes of this. Now, Lutnick went on television, you know, talking about what he said was his only time he met Epstein and how he was grossed out, and him and his wife walked out, massage table, shared a wall with him. Then we find out financially they seem to be in bed together and some ventures. Okay. But then this whole thing of we brought everybody to the island. Oh. But so we had to get a little over 5 minutes deep for like the first valid comment, but that valid comment only drags Trump. Get into, again, how the world actually works, how Epstein was working for the Rothschilds, how groups like the Zodiac Club are steering narratives, steering policy.
Any interest in getting any information about any of the crimes that were committed, and had nothing other than just disdain for the victim. She didn't seem interested in trying to disabuse anyone of that notion today.
No, she didn't. On the Lutnick thing, I guess the good news for him is that Kevin Hassett, the economic advisor, said that Lutnick was his bestie yesterday.
Someone claimed Lutnick.
So we got different lunch tables, I guess, in the White House where they're, you know, I'll talk about who their besties are as they run cover for each other.
So gross.
I just look, if you're somebody that actually did care about this, like there are people that genuinely.
And by the way, you know, again, talking points. I just want to point out, because I've been talking about this a lot. That's the over sharpening filter. This guy's the one guy on Skype, or not Skype, I'm sorry, on Zoom. And Zoom now has this horrible over sharpening filter that you're like, Zoom, you're dominating the business and you're putting this on. You think that makes people look good? No, that makes crazy people think that guys like this are wearing a mask or something. No, it's just a terrible, terrible filter, everybody. But let's wrap this one up. There's about a minute and a half left on this mainstream whitewash of the Epstein files by the host of the Bulwark podcast, Tim Miller.
Only cared about this, like either on the right or like within the kind of newer part of the Trump coalition, was shorthanding it with the Rogan verse, right? Like Trump has had to make a lot of people, kind of eat a lot of crap over the last 9 years who support him. That's just a part of the deal of going along with Donald Trump. But people don't like to be made to be fools, and made out to be idiots. And that's what they're trying to do. They're just trying to basically say, hey, this thing that you cared about, that you told your audience you cared about, or if you're in the audience that you posted about and read about and learned about, where you were concerned that, there was this elite cabal of people that were sexually trafficking young girls, of men that were sexually trafficking young girls. And now I'm here to tell you that, like, don't believe your lying eyes. Like, there's not really anything more to look into. And in fact, what you should care about is that your 401k is going up. It's just like, how stupid do you think people are? I just, in this situation, like, this playbook just does not work. And they're playing their own supporters for fools. And, there'll be some of them that are going to be happy to play along. I'm sure Hannity will give her a good review tonight over on Fox. But a lot of these other folks, they're not signing up for this.
No one's signing up for this that has a brain. This is about going to wrap it up, but I want to send some love out to the Bermas Brigade. Now, someone decided to not only buy me a coffee while we were on the broadcast, and by the way, the links are below, $5, $10, $15. It does mean the world to me. Thank you for that 5-spot, someone. But then they went into, I didn't find this, archive.org has some of the Zodiac Club meeting stuff. And this is a pretty significant document. This document here, we'll just raw it right here. It looks like it's 1868 to 1928. And it looks like it's over 400 pages long. So the 16th meeting, there it is. This is cool. 41st meeting. Oh, man. See, these are the type of things that I love to see because I love raw documentation and history because it really does tell a story. So one more time, guys, can't do it without you. $5, $10, $15. We've also got the PayPal down below for the big donors that maybe want to remain anonymous. I want to thank all those people as well. I want to thank you for tuning in. Thumbs it up, subscribe, share, ring that bell. Check out all of the documentary films in the playlist for free. If you're new, forget about me ranting and raving and showing these things. My films show the documentation, show the video clips, and I try to keep my big mouth shut as much as possible. Invisible Empire and New World Order Defined and Shade the Motion Picture are so important, so essential. And if you want to learn about 9/11, Fabled Enemies, and Loose Change Final Cut, because it is not about left or right, never is, always about right and wrong, I absolutely love you guys. Thanks for joining me once again, and I will see you